okay? Yeah. Made it through with just a couple of scraped knees back then. Back then? What do you say? We doing this? Have we? Never mind about that. Right now, you need to focus on yourself. Move something. Anything. Why not? Good. Easy does it. Slow. And steady. Yeah. Hey, who are you? Who are you?
I am your everything.
Hello in there.
Oh, Cloud. There's still so much to be done.
So Final Fantasy VII is a single-player role-playing game that was released on the Sony PlayStation in 1997. It was developed by Square and also was the first game in the series to see a PAL release. The game's story follows Cloud Strife, a mercenary who joins an eco-terrorist group that goes by the name of Avalanche to to stop a world-controlling megacorporation, which his name is Shinra, from using the planet's life essence as an energy source. So they basically use this energy called Mako energy and have power plants to form like electricity. Now, the events send Cloud and his allies in pursuit of Sephiroth, a superhuman who seeks to pretty much destroy the planet. During the journey, Cloud builds close friendships with his party members, including Aerith Gainsborough, who holds the secret to saving their world. Now, development began in 1994, originally for the Super Nintendo. After delays and technical difficulties from experimenting on several platforms, Square winded up moving production to the Sony PlayStation, largely due to the advantages of the CD-ROM format. With this decision to change formats, they brought us the first title in the series to use full motion video and 3D computer graphics, which featured 3D character models superimposed over 2D pre-rendered backgrounds. Final Fantasy VII introduced more widespread science fiction elements such as materia, limit breaks, and a bunch of new minigames. The game had a staff of over 100 people with a combined development and marketing budget of around $80 million. Assisted by a large promotional campaign, Final Fantasy VII received widespread commercial and critical success. To this day, it remains widely regarded as a landmark title and as one of the most influential and greatest video games of all time. It's a winner of numerous Game of the Year awards and has been acknowledged for boosting sales of the Sony PlayStation and popularizing console RPG games worldwide. Its success has led us to a bunch of enhanced ports on various platforms, and it also has led us to this point over 20 years later to an HD episodic remake. So now that you have some background information, let's get into the review. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1. So here we are, guys. Now, after so much time has passed, over 20 years, so many people wanted to see this game remade. And they've been teasing it and showing little bits off for quite a long time now. And here we are. We finally had this game released. Now, I picked it up launch day. I was lucky enough to get this deluxe edition. As soon as I put it in and started playing it, I was completely immersed and just drawn into this story 100%. It completely sucked me in. Now, this is basically just the beginning of the original game, stretched out, and you know, in parts there is some filler because they have to make a game out of it. But what they've done here, I think, is absolutely remarkable. I had a blast playing this game, and I can now say, after finishing this game, it is one of my favorite games ever made. It looks amazing. Now, what they have done here with even 2D pre-rendered backgrounds, which I thought was such a cool love letter to the original. They took 2D pre-rendered backgrounds and put them in the far off distance, and it gives this effect of like a huge epic space that you're playing in. It really makes this world seem alive, huge, and puts it on a scale on a whole nother level. And the weird thing is, I was actually recently thinking about this, about pre-rendered backgrounds like this, thinking, why don't they use these in modern games still? They could put these in the far background and just make it look even more massive than it really is. And they've done it here. And some people could say, you know, hey, maybe it looks a little weird. I don't think so. I thought it looked great. I actually really liked that, and I really liked the fact that this game originally was based off of almost entirely of that. So to use it again over 20 years later is awesome. I thought that was just genius. These guys did such a great job. The character models, going from these polygonal models that we had back in the late 90s, and don't get me wrong, at the time they were amazing, but they still did look kind of goofy back then, and they look really goofy now, especially too when you're like in the overworld and you see their arms are just look like dumbbells, basically. They look very strange. Now, to see the character models now, they look amazing. They're just so detailed, and they look awesome. And you can tell which character is which. They did a great job at taking, what they had from the past and bringing it into a modern era. They've done it so well here. The characters look phenomenal, and it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing what they've done here with the character models. Now, I've heard people say about the world, where there's muddy textures and spots, and you know what? There absolutely is. Some of them do look bad. Some of them look like they're almost PS2 graphics, but in a way it kind of works, because they've got so much going on. And I imagine that there was some restrictions with the hardware that they had to put this on. Putting this on the PlayStation 4 for such a grand scale game was probably not an easy thing, and that's probably why it took so long, because they were probably trying to put just so much into this, and knowing that it is such an epic game and they didn't want to mess this up, they had to almost do this and put that much time and work into it. I just wonder, how long is it going to take for the next episode? I mean, I'm sure they've already been working on it, especially now that they have everything kind of pieced together, but you got to remember too, it's also going to be for new hardware. It's going to be on the PlayStation 5. I'd assume so anyway, because that hardware is going to be coming out very soon. And we know we're not going to get another one of these games within the next year. It's just not going to happen. I mean, this game took so long because of the epic scale it's on. I mean, figure they had to have used so much just space to make this game, and probably crammed things in every little nook and cranny that they could. I mean, the full motion video in this game is on another level, and it is so cinematic and done just so well, how it just ties right into the gameplay. I'd say this rivals some Hollywood blockbuster movies. I mean, I was more drawn into this game than most movies that I watch. And I know it's a great game when my daughter comes and sits alongside me and is just watching me play for hours. That is something that does not normally happen. So the fact that she would sit there with me and be totally invested in the story just like I was remarkable, and that told me this is something truly special. And it always was. And the fact that they captured that again in a modern era is fantastic. My hat goes off to them. They did a wonderful job here, and the world that they built is just, it's so good. I mean, this is the Final Fantasy VII world that I always envisioned in my head. And it's crazy how they captured that. It almost feels like what I thought the world would be like, they nailed it. And every part of it seemed to be that. Just like the mood of the game, everything fit. And I can't wait to see what they do with the rest of the game. I mean, I absolutely cannot wait. I am so all in now on this episodic thing that they got going on. And, you know, the music, the timing too with the music was so spot on in parts. You know, it just gives that level of hype, and it completely works. And the music is and was phenomenal to begin with. But some of these remixes just sound great, and the music really hypes up some of the action parts. And I mean, this game started as, you know, a role-playing game, a turn-based RPG, and this game that we have now isn't a role. This isn't a turn-based game exactly. It is like a hybrid. The fighting mechanics here are so unique, and they're done so well. I love this battle system. I actually hope that other games take note of this and start making fighting like this. You know, copy this a bit and tweak it, you know, do something new with it. But this is a totally fresh battle mechanic here. It is a hybrid of action and turn-based, you know, turn-based fighting mechanics, and it works so good. And what they've done with the weapon system and the way that it upgrades, I love that. How you know, spend these points that you gain to upgrade your weapons, and you can pick and choose where these points go. And as you get a new weapon, you keep all the points that you gained through the whole game up to that point, and you're able to spend it on the next weapon. So with each weapon that you get, you have points that you built from before for that weapon. So each weapon, basically, you have the same amount of points to spend. And I thought that was awesome. I you know, I kind of hate it when I get a new weapon in a game and I got to start from scratch and I got to start building it up. I mean, you could build these up as soon as you get them, and then they become almost more powerful than the one that you just had, even though they are a little bit different. One may be better at magic or all around, or one's just better at attacking or defense or whatever. You know, you can build them up and make them a little better in different areas if you want, especially, you know, with the materia that you're able to, you know, use on each one. Some of them might have more slots to put more materia. And then you can choose the materia that you want to upgrade it however you want and make it a play style however you want. And the same goes for things that you wear as well. Maybe like gloves kind of things. I guess I forget what they call them. They're basically like wrist straps or whatever, and like earrings or necklaces or whatever. They give you special powers too, because you can get slots on top of, you know, what that set or, you know, item does. It can also have materia slots, and you can add extra abilities to it. And I love that. And you just don't know can totally customize your character and all your characters to how you see fit. And you can even use the materia that you give a certain character. You can actually take it from them and use it on other characters, keep building it up, and then give it back to them once you lose that character, because you can only have 3 at any given time. And, you know, the game does have some padding. I mean, there's parts where, you know, it's always, you know, a short point you got to get to from A to B. It may be very short, but believe it, they're going to drag that out very long. They do this almost in every section, and every time you get to an open town or whatever, you're going to be doing a bunch of, you know, fetch quests, basically. But never was I like, man, I hate doing this. I actually did all of them. The only time I didn't do them was towards the end of the game when you get a whole lot at once. I was so invested in the story at that point, I just wanted to see it through. And this game has like one of the longest endings I've ever seen. I mean, the ending, it seems like it just goes and goes and goes and goes. And I loved every minute of it. It was so epic. You know, and the cinematics that they tie in with it, completely on another level here. Absolutely on another level. You know, it was just so much damn fun. I was expecting to finish this off because I figured I was at the end. I just figured I'd finish it off and I'd go to bed and everything. No, I didn't get to bed till like 3:30 in the morning because the ending was just so long. And I was totally fine with it. Yeah, I paid for it the next day at work, but I just had a blast playing through it. I mean, and it was just... It looked amazing, absolutely amazing. And you know, you have things in this game like little mini games and stuff, which are kind of fun. You know, you get these little challenges, and you can keep going back after you beat the game, and you can keep playing them if you want. You can also, once you finish the game, you can pick any chapter you want and you can replay it or get things that you missed, and you can keep you know, the same level that you finished the game with, and you can keep upgrading your characters, and you can also keep all your weapons and all your weapon upgrades. So I basically, you know, in this gameplay footage, I'm using an endgame weapon. Now, going back, I was able to just slaughter anybody pretty much that I came in contact with because I was so much overpowered compared to, you know, what they are. But it was just so much fun, even going back and basically an enemy that I maybe struggled with in the beginning. Now I'm basically, it's almost a one-hit kill. It was a lot of fun. And you can make this game as easy or as hard as you want it to be. You know, because they have very easy modes and then they have really hard modes. And this game can be very hard. You know, if you select a harder difficulty, you are going to die. I'd say you're going to die way more than you would in the original game, which is fairly easy, you know, depending on, you know, your experience with these style of games. But just what they did from taking the original game and from what they made with this, you know, basically beginning of the original game, they did a phenomenal job. It is just so well realized here. Now, there is some story changes, and some people didn't like that. I really enjoyed the story changes here. I thought they were really cool and really well done. And it could be a little confusing, especially if for somebody, I imagine, that never played Final Fantasy VII. They would, you know, understand kind of what's going on, but definitely be confused for sure. And even if you played Final Fantasy VII, I think you could get to the end of the game, beat it, and still be confused. Because they kind of, well, now I'm going into some serious spoiler territory here, but they have these whispers, and they basically try to keep the game on the original story path. Any spot where it starts to deviate, and you know, it does that in a bunch of spots. And, you know, at the end, you basically wind up having to fight these whispers and basically change Destiny's path, which means you're basically changing the story of Final Fantasy VII initially, and it gives them an opening to make the ongoing chapters, the ones coming up, kind of, they can make it go somewhere a little different if they want. It makes it almost an open slate in a way. And I really am excited to see where they take this, you know, so-called remake, because it is basically a retelling. But there is a lot that's pretty much exactly the same. That's the coolest part, is it's so similar but so different at the same time. So, I mean, for diehard fans, I mean, I could see where it may bother them, but for me, I have nothing vested in the original story. I mean, it's just a story in a game. I thought it was a great story, but, you know, it's already been done. Why not do something a little bit different? And I welcome and I'm excited to see where they go with this going forward, because it is going to be a fun ride, let me tell you. And if you've made it through this game yet, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because this game was a fantastic, fun, just action-packed ride almost all the way through. The slowest parts were some of the fetch quests and just, you know, maybe some of the trying to get from point A to point B, and, you know, it winds up being like, feels like 2 hours of, you know, walking and fighting just to get to that point, which was very close. But even that, I still had a good time because the game looked so damn good, and it was just so fun and everything, just to look at everything. I mean, I spent a lot of time just staring at stuff, and it took me 39 hours to finish this game, and I probably spent 3 hours at least looking at stuff, you know, through the course of the whole game. There was times where I was too busy staring at the sky or stuff in the far distance than playing the game itself, because it just looks remarkable.
There's something wrong.
But if you guys are playing this game right now, let me know what you guys think. If you beat it, I definitely want to know what you guys think, and let me know what you think to the changes of the story. What did you think about, you know, just how the game looks compared to the original, which I can't think that anybody would argue with that. It looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, besides the few parts that, you know, yes, there is some muddy textures in some spots, but like I said, I think that has a lot to do with just space. I mean, just, you know, you can't make everything so grand and expect it to run on a PlayStation 4. I just think it would be too much for the hardware, and probably too much to fit on a disc, honestly, because they already got so much going on here, and we already have it on 2 discs, which, you know, there's not many games that do that. Pretty much this and Red Dead Redemption 2. But let me know what you guys think, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. But thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate you guys checking out and watching this whole video. And if you're not subscribed, think about subscribing to the channel, guys. I try to put gaming content out like this as much as I can. But that's the review, guys. I'm the War Train, and I'm out. Have a good one.
This we don't need.
Time to go.